Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Ragucci, and this is Replay, Relive, and Re-Experience, as we like to call it, Re3s, where, you guessed it, we do all three of those things to our favorite video game series. In this edition of Re3, we'll be replaying, reliving, and re-experiencing the Halo franchise, starting with Halo Combat Evolved and ending with Halo 5 Guardians, in anticipation for Halo Infinite. Here to go on Master Chief Saga with me, as always, you know him, you love him, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you?
I'm good.
Ready to talk some
down.
Halo 4? Yeah.
I'm ready to talk Halo 4. And normally, Delaware County's own Chris Geddes would be here, but called out sick. And
He's feeling a little under the weather, and and then in the name of safety, we're taking precautions here at the network. He will quarantine for 2 weeks until he is then allowed to regain entrance into society. And doesn't matter how many negative tests he gets, because it's 2 weeks. No, that's our policy here. We want to be extra safe.
Yeah, so just like we did with Trio the other week, the train's got to keep rolling. We got to keep doing these recordings to make it for Infinite's. I was gonna say debut. That sounds really dramatic. Release debut.
Yeah,
it's dramatic. Speaking of Halo Infinite, before we want to jump in, I wanted to talk about the 2 weeks of Infinite technical previews, technical flights, whatever you want to call them, happened within the last 2 weeks since the end of Reach. So. How you liking Infinite, man?
I'm excited to play. I'm excited to jump back in. Yeah. I think it looks not as great as I was hoping. Like, literally, technically wise. Like, I think, like, I want it to look a little bit more next-gen, but I guess we are at the point where it's like graphics can only get so much better. So there's that. But apparently there was a performance mode on it that I didn't realize you could turn on.
I didn't realize that.
I heard, I don't know who I heard talking about it. But
you want the frames though.
I mean, but that's. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's on like turning it on to
fidelity
mode. Like, cause
no, turning it on to the graphics mode.
Yes. No.
Or turning it on to the frames mode.
It's not. It doesn't start on the frames mode, as I understood.
It's on performance.
It is.
I'm asking you.
I thought it was on. The one that doesn't enhance frame rate. It focuses on
graphics.
Graphics. And there apparently is a frame rate upping one that makes it look a lot worse. Like, okay. Apparently there's, but I'm curious. I don't know. I didn't play that.
All right.
News to me. But maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember the podcast I specifically heard this on, so I don't know. But I mean, overall, I'm excited. Yeah, it's more Halo. I'm pumped.
Yeah. At first, it was kind of like I felt like I picked up a new game that I never played before. It was Halo, but like the controls are a little bit different. But just like any game, give it a day, give it a week, you'll figure it out. It feels a lot like Halo 3 and Halo 5 combined.
I would agree with that.
There's a lot of like it feels like Halo 3, but it feels like Halo 5. It's weightier. It's not as fast as Halo 5 was. Yeah. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think they're like this close away from like this being really good. But also we're getting like a very like small chunk of this game.
Yeah.
And then there's like the systems that necessarily might not work, like the pass. Maybe they're going to rework
how
some
that's
stuff.
Gonna go. Yeah, I don't really love. We were talking about the armor paint. Like, I like that the armor paints exist in the way that you can get them, but I do still wish you could individually buy colors,
coatings,
and something like that.
I like the coatings. I think it's cool.
I wish you had a little bit more freedom in that respect. But it is nice how you can customize like every piece of your armor again, like Reach kind of did. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what the campaign's like. But so far, the multiplayer is a lot of fun. There's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of old stuff. I like most of the new weapons. Only one that I would say I didn't really like was that plasma carbine, which I felt like it was doing nothing.
One thing I kept saying over and over again, I feel like some of the power weapons were just like a little too underpowered. Like I just feel like
the shotgun definitely was.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm like these just feel like they're like time to kill
the hammer
is like
needs a little bit
long.
less of a swing.
Okay.
I think it's. No, I mean it's as in like I think it winds back a little too much. I think they could shave it by like a second or two.
Okay.
But yeah, the shotgun, you need 2 shots even when you're right up close on someone, which I didn't really understand. Even if you hit both, even if you get a direct shot, it's 2 shots. I really like the what was it called? It starts with a C. A lot of the heavier weapons were awesome. Like battle rifle feels meteor.
Skewer?
Not the skewer. The skewer is cool too. That's like new heavy weapon.
The Ravager?
No, it starts with a C. It's like the assault rifle.
Oh, Commando.
Yeah, I don't really love the look of it, but I do like how it shoots.
It's like an in between of like a DMR and like another gun.
Like an assault rifle almost.
Because you can like shoot it. You can shoot it as slow as a DMR realistically if you wanted to.
But I don't think it's as powerful.
No.
Yeah, because that obviously makes sense. You got to trade off something.
Right.
But most for them, like Needler felt great. All the classic weapons felt good. The BR felt real meaty. Like it felt like a real kind of power weapon again. But yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait to jump into more.
I did ask Chris for his input on the beta, and he had this to say. I had a lot of fun with the second flight. Seemed like they fixed some improvement issues I had gripes with on the first test. After playing the betas for COD and Battlefield 2042, I had the most fun on Halo. So that is Mr. Geddes.
I would say I played a little bit of Battlefield's beta today, and I definitely felt like I was enjoying Halo more, for sure. Just, I don't know why maybe it was just because we haven't gotten a Halo in 5 years. But,
What's the last Battlefield you played? 1, right? You didn't play 5.
No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I guess those first-person shooters like that don't really scratch my itch a lot. It needs something to it. Or it has to be pretty big, like a classic. Like, I don't know why Battlefield 1 hit so well with me. We were just talking about that.
I think it had something to do
timing
with like
definitely helps,
timing.
I think.
Like everyone had it, you know. And I feel like we don't really have we haven't had a multiplayer game like that in like maybe like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, like
where like everyone was playing
and
together.
then Battlefield 2 came out and sucked, right? Didn't
Battlefield 5.
Battlefield 5, right?
Yes.
That's it,
Yeah.
Yeah, fun. But should we get into it, Gooch?
Let's get into it. As always, when we start our games, we talk a little bit about development. In October 2007. So, well, let's preface this. This is our first 343 studio Halo game. Bungie is out. 343 is in. So, the studio was made to make Halo after Bungie kind of passed the mantle of responsibility, as one would say, using the Halo terminology.
Pass the energy sword.
Yeah. So in October 2007, shortly after the release of Halo, Bungie developers split off from its parent company, Microsoft. They retained the intellectual property rights to Halo, and Bungie continued developing games, Halo games until 2010, and then they would go on to make Destiny and Destiny 2. During this period, Microsoft formed an internal division, 343 Industries, to manage the franchise and develop future games. 2008, 343 Industries was still in formation. Microsoft approached Starlight Runner Entertainment to help assemble the Halo Bible. So, do you ever hear that term, like Bible? When
where they kind of go through and just basically go through everything.
Here's the lore. Here's everything.
What? Yeah, right. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Like the Silmarillions almost is
right.
like the Bible.
I feel like I hear the term Fallout Bible get tossed around because, like, when Interplay lost the rights to Fallout, they made a Fallout Bible, and that's Bethesda. Well, I don't think it was made to be.
It was just
given.
to have.
I think they just made it. Like Chris Avallone, who worked on New Vegas, I think was like responsible for that. But that's where I hear that term. But I just wanted to make sure.
Interesting.
Like,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jesus Christ Halo. Starlight Runner is a New York-based company that specializes in creating and producing transmedia franchises. Their job was to examine all the content of Halo's universe, clean it up, and make it coherent and understandable for people involving with the creation of Halo games and media. That's interesting. So I guess when you pass a franchise on, somebody else comes in and maybe
I don't think that's necessarily
here
all the
it
time
is.
how it works. I mean, I think now with like especially like Star Wars and stuff like that, that's why they kind of just were like, we're not using, like, we're just cutting that off because we don't even want to worry about making all of that coherent. Whereas like with
maybe
these guys,
someone did go into Star Wars and be like, this is the Star Wars Bible, and the EU doesn't exist in that, right?
Well, that's exactly it. Like
You know?
they were like, I think with this it makes sense, especially when you're making a game and they're talking about things in this game where I'm like, oh whoa. I don't know why a lot of this went over my head the first time, and how they're really getting to like the Forerunners and all this stuff that, like, you know, we're kind of sparsely mentioned.
It was there.
Like you heard their name before in
But
the
it wasn't.
other games, but
it
like,
wasn't there.
it wasn't in front of your face by any means. But like this is true. This is truly like you would need this when you're trying to start a whole new story arc.
For sure.
To like, because you don't want to one step on things, and then there are also things in this universe that didn't make any sense as far as like why certain Spartans are now alive, and like I know there was like books about why Lyndon and all them, but like originally
we've talked about that, yeah.
that
With
they
Master
were
Chief
not.
being the
He
last
was that was like a major plot point. I feel like for a while.
Yeah.
So you know you need to clean this stuff up before you go in and really kind of start following things up. So that does make sense to me.
Unlike the original trilogy, the story of Halo 4 was designed to be a multi-part game arc from beginning. In addition, 343 Industries aim for a more complete connective between all of their future media and a more complete connectivity between all of their future media and from before, relating to Halo 4 story to the Forerunner saga and the Kilo 5 trilogy novels, as well as using terminals in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary and introduce background knowledge on the Forerunners. So when they were making those anniversaries,
they were like, let's start plugging the stuff here.
Right, yeah. Not to change the game, but
but to add a little extra layer that you could explore if you would like to.
Right. Yeah. That isn't totally changing, Combat Evolved.
Yeah.
343 started with a staff of roughly a dozen people, but grew to nearly 200 through development. Halo 4's development included former employees of more than 25 AAA studios. Prospect employees could not be told they were going to be working on Halo 4. We had people who were hired who hated Halo because of X, said Frank O'Connor, 343 Industries franchise development director. But what that really meant was, I feel like this game could be awesome because of Y input. That I'm going to bring into it. I want to prove it, and I'm passionate about proving it. So we ended up with a bunch of people who were genuinely passionate about the project. This is a huge advantage, and that helped in hiring and forming a team. This rapid hiring and growth occurred during development of the game, creating issues. Because the team was committed to a delivery date, Halo 4 executive producer Kiki Wolfkill, who was a fucking... She was like the face of Halo 4.
Kiki Wolfkill.
She's, I think, Hawaiian?
Is that her legal name?
Yeah. That's like a very tribal name.
Good for her. I like that.
Yeah.
Continue.
I remember she was
Kiki
like...
Wolfkill.
In the dev interviews, like, she was the face.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember seeing... Like, she works at... I think she's still on 343.
This only came out 4 years after Halo 3? Yeah, because 2007 to 2011, right?
This game came out in 2011. Yeah, I think.
Man, they really didn't let him rest long.
No, they really did.
That's they really kind of were like...
They got right to work. Yeah, realistically.
They really had to. That's like, yeah, sorry, continue.
So Kiki Wolfkill said that the team was forced to make necessary mistakes with the production difficulties and a team inexperienced with working together, contributing to development difficulties.
By the way, it's always great when you start with a release date and say, we can't miss this release date. Yeah. And then just make, like, that's what Lucas did with the first Phantom Menace. He literally had a sign apparently up on the wall. He's like, we're meeting this date or the movie doesn't come out or something like that.
9 months before shipping, the developers restructured the game's production pipeline, gave individual teams more control due to bottlenecks in development. With so many developers from different backgrounds, forging a common goal and company culture was different. Creative director Josh Holmes recalled that the epiphany moment that proved the team was headed in the right direction. It was early in development when the team had completed a section of the game that was very traditional. Despite positive feedback from testers, 343 Industries discarded the prototype as too traditional, but it felt that it showed the team could work together. Including contractors, 350 people worked on the game. 343 Industries contracted Certain Affinity and an independent video game development studio to help with the development of Halo 4. They started work on the game in early 2011. Certain Affinity worked alongside Bungie and 343 Industries on producing the multiplayer for different Halo games, as well as the Forge mode and the War games created. And they co-developed War games, which is the Halo 4 multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Halo 4 and Combat Evolved Anniversary were both officially announced on June 6, 2011 at E3 of the same year. Halo 4 is the first installment of the Reclaimer saga of Halo games, which will be ending with Infinite. The studio's creative team, which included nearly 200 people led by Josh Holmes, started developing the game as early as 2009. Prior to the game's release, Microsoft Vice President Phil Spencer, this is when Phil Spencer probably first got hired, stated that the Halo franchise is the most important entertainment product in the company, which I would definitely agree with.
I would say so.
And that Halo 4 was the most expensive game that Microsoft had made. A demonstration of the game's campaign was first shown in E3 of 2012. The developers described it as a pivotal moment in development, as it was the first time the game had been shown publicly. The positive reaction was a moral boost for the team, who were unsure how the public would react. On September 26, 2012, O'Connor announced the game development was complete.
Okay, so 2012 it came out. Or no, then it would have came out. When did it come out then? When was like the actual release?
We'll find out in a second.
Sounds good.
I'm sure I'll write it down.
Also, what else did I had a point, and it's gone now. You can continue.
Following Halo 4's announcement, O'Connor reported that both Master Chief and Cortana would undergo radical changes in appearance for the game. Some of them attributed to better graphics, and the others to story elements. The studio wanted Master Chief's appearance to convey a more imposing mass and weight, to show that one of his characteristics is his 800-pound armor. They studied armor changes that were made for Spartans in Halo Reach, which were much bulkier than renditions of previous games. Characters and concept arts began redesigning Master Chief by creating sketches. These sketches would be rendered into 3D models. During the concepting process, O'Connor decided it would be best for the franchise to explore the forerunner fiction of the Halo universe, which had remained largely a mystery until their involvement. This ultimately led to the creation of the new enemy race, the Prometheans, the warriors of the Forerunner Empire. Given that the Forerunners themselves had never been featured in previous Halo games, the designs, process, and appearance for the Prometheus was long and tedious.
I will say they do look very different. Yeah, you really don't feel like I can't think of a very comparable like alien even in pop culture to it, but
Holmes explained that one of the goals for Halo 4's campaign was to incorporate more human elements into the story. To accomplish this, the team wrote a B story that explored Master Chief's relationship with his AI partner, Cortana, who would break down into a dementia-like state. The development team realized that Halo 4's narrative could be dense and hard to approach, making it inaccessible for new players. They found that incorporating such a storyline into an action game could be extremely challenging and considered dropping it due to development. I'm really glad they didn't, because it's like, I think it is the main point of the game.
I was going to say that feels like the A plot almost in a way.
Yeah, I would agree. Holmes was adamant about including it. He took inspiration from his mother's battle with dementia, which she had diagnosed with near the start of the game's development. This led Holmes to want to capture the emotion and tell a perfect story. The senior art director for Halo 4, Kenneth Scott, he described the visual style of Halo being more ingrained in the expanded universe fiction and more mature than before. With the game's increased focus on Forerunners, the artist heavily invested the look into the feel of the Forerunner technology. The game also featured more diverse Forerunner structures, including fully activated Forerunner tech, as opposed to the mostly inert, abandoned structures in the earlier games. The cooperative Spartan Ops mode originally began a firefight type mode similar to that featured in Reach, but was composed of different objective-oriented mission types. Over the course of development, changes were made to Spartan Ops to include a narrative that would tie into 4's multiplayer. I hate Spartan Ops. It sucks.
Completely forgot it even existed.
British record producer and composer Neil Davidge wrote the music for Halo 4. Davidge is best known for his work as a co-writer and producer for the band Massive Attack, and also composed scores of numerous films. Satoru Tojima, best known for his work on Konami's Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, served as Halo 4's audio director. The team performed many live audio recording sessions, several of them which occurred in Tasmania, Australia. Music composer Kazuma Jinochi, also formerly of Konami, joined 343 Industries during the production of Halo 4. He contributed several additional tracks for the game, and he would later be the sole composer for Halo 5 Guardians. I have to admit, Halo 4's music is really good. It's funny. So I actually listened to an interview with Kazuma Jinochi. He did the music for one of the Metal Gear Solid spin-offs called Portable Ops. And Portable Ops is essentially like a black sheep of the Metal Gear franchise. It wasn't really made by Kojima, so it's not canon. No, it's not that it wasn't well received. It just
wasn't made by him, so
right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so there are a few Metal Gear Solid games like that.
Interesting.
And he did the music for that. And he's doing the same thing here with Halo. Here's the, the Halo music is iconic. So how do you live up to this iconic franchise? And he was talking about that because he did the same thing with Metal Gear. It's like I have to live in the shadow of some really good music. So that was really hard for me to come in and be original.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know. Again, I'm not very musically tuned. I will say. I'm not sitting. It's not something unless it really is stunning to me or really sticks out. I rarely notice. And I will say for this, I didn't notice too much musically, like different than like so out of the box that it felt different than old
It's
Halo
just
stuff
not what has come before.
And that's
like,
now that I feel like we do this every first episode of every game. You guys mention the music. I'm like, all right, now we'll actually like
the main menu theme, which isn't in the game. It's like a really good. Like I like it. I think it.
Sure.
It's different, but it's not our classic. Oh.
Sure. It's outside the box. Yeah. Outside the ring.
Towards the end of the game, 117 that plays in literally the last cutscene of the game. That track is awesome. Green and blue. There's a few others like in the beginning. Like the music is good, and I have to give some props there.
Well, that's good to know.
So sales, 4 grossed 220 million on its launch day, 300 million in its opening week. The gross was a new record for the franchise, surpassing Reach, which was 200 million the first day. More than 1 million people played Halo on Xbox Live in the first 24 hours, while Halo 4 debuted at the top of the UK video game charts and became the 18th biggest launch ever in the United Kingdom. It failed to beat the week one sales record of Halo 3 and Reach. U.S. retail tracking firm NPD reported that Halo 4 was the second most sold retail video game of November 2012, the third most selling retail video game of December 2012, and the third most sold retail video game of the year. In the United States, Halo 4 became the best-selling Microsoft Studio title for the sales counted during the respective launch years. In 2012, Halo 4 was the third most played game on Xbox Live.
Whoa.
And it was released again, Xbox 360, November 6, 2012, on the Master Chief Collection, November 11th, 2014, and then added to the PC version on November 17th, 2020. So that was very recently.
Oh, shit.
So, Trio, what are your memories with Halo 4, if you have any?
Not a ton. I remember everyone talking about, I remember everyone being very pumped, and I remember going to, the midnight release for it. And I remember
Were you there with me?
Why was it? I think, at least I'm pretty confident I was there.
It was one of
Lawrence Park, right?
Yeah. I don't remember going with you, but I was there. I was there with Spurrier.
Maybe I'm confusing for a different Halo. But anyways, I remember being very hyped. I remember everyone being excited. I remember them making some changes I wasn't so big about that felt a little bit Call of Duty-y at the time in the multiplayer, when it came to loadouts and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, I just remember not much, to be honest. I don't remember it really sticking out to me. I don't remember the campaign hitting me necessarily hard.
Yeah.
This time around, I'm enjoying it more than I was expecting.
And I would agree. And I think one of the biggest things I was like, I feel like I think I shit on this game a little too hard.
Sure.
Maybe 5. Who knows?
Maybe 5 has just tainted our thought process so much.
What's that? Is it not the Mandela effect? Is it the Mandela effect?
No, the Mandela effect's when it's like the Bernstein or Bernstein bears or whatever. There's
right.
Yeah.
But what's the thing where you think you just start thinking differently because of something?
Like a later movie in a franchise just or not movie
everything.
Just taints.
Yeah.
I will say for Game of Thrones, that entire series is tainted because of the ending for me.
Sure,
for the most part.
that's a good example, but yeah, I'm trying to.
I know, but more of when you come to a franchise of something like a movie or game franchise. I know what you mean.
I remember that midnight launch though. It was the last one of the Lawrence Park GameStop in Broomall, PA, Delaware County. It was one of the last big midnight launches. I think one of the last one was Fallout 4 and I think Kingdom Hearts 3.
GTA 3 was
4.
No, I'm sorry. Whoa. GTA 5 was insane.
I bet.
At Lawrence Park Shopping Center. It was wrapped around to the ShopRite.
I could only imagine what Halo 3's midnight launch was. And again, we're not in digital age yet. I think you can only get games physically. I don't think digital games are a thing yet.
At Halo 4?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think they might. I think you might have been able to, but I feel like barely anyone was.
Right, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was
a thing.
at the cusp. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
at the dawn.
Yeah, but I remember that midnight. Matt Spurrier won the Halo 4 countdown to midnight timer. He got that, and he had it for a while, and he fucking tossed it, and I wanted
was it.
It was so in GameStop they had a standee
timer,
with a timer counting down, and he won it.
And then he doesn't know what he did with it.
No, his mom got rid of it, and I'm like, dude, I would have taken that.
Yeah.
I was like, and I always asked him about it. I'm like, what are you doing with that clock, dude?
He's like, hey, it's mine. I'm hanging with it. What? That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember playing Halo 4, but like,
Doesn't stand out.
right.
Really
It's
doesn't.
not every multiplayer game can stand out.
Yep.
But let's jump.
Even just the campaign though, for me, like I don't really remember a ton at all. Like there's some cutscenes in this where I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah. So let's jump into our first cutscene, our prologue level, which shows Dr. Halsey being interrogated by a shadowy figure about Spartan 2 program, specifically Master Chief.
Tell me about the children. Dr. Halsey.
You already know everything.
You kidnapped them.
Children's minds are more easily accepting of indoctrination. Their bodies more adaptable to augmentation. The result was the ultimate soldier. And because of our success, when the Covenant invaded, we were ready.
Dr. Halsey, you're bending history for your own favor, and you know it. You developed the Spartans to crush human rebellion, not to fight the Covenant.
When one human world after another fell, when my Spartans were all that stood between humanity and extinction, nobody was concerned about why they were originally built.
So you feel in the end your choices were justified.
My work saved the human race.
Do you think the Spartans' lack of basic humanity helped?
What are you after? The others before you were naval intelligence, but you're something else.
Records show Spartans routinely exhibited mildly sociopathic tendencies, difficulty with socialization, and verbalization.
The records show efficient behavior operating in hazardous situations. I supplied the tools to maintain that efficiency.
Do you believe the Master Chief succeeded because he was, at his core, broken?
What does John have to do with this? You want to replace him?
The Master Chief is dead.
His file reads missing in action.
Catherine. Spartans never die.
Your mistake is seeing Spartans as military hardware. My Spartans are humanity's next step. Our destiny as a species. Do not underestimate them. But most of all, do not underestimate him.
This has been the cutscene that I've been talking about.
No, it's a great cutscene.
Since like we started. And it's interesting. I like they really tee up the fact that like
The
this
idea
is
of
going
where
to be
Spartans
about Master
came, yeah,
Chief.
it's more. It's not about him fighting. It's about how he became. Not how he became who he is, but how. Yeah, kind of. Who he is, why he is.
It's not about the rank. It's about the man. Who is the Master Chief? Like for once, we're sitting here and looking at him as a person.
He
not
talks
necessarily,
more in this, I think, first level
He talks a lot.
than he does in, I want to say, the first 2 Halo games.
I think the whole series.
Yeah, maybe even the whole
But like
series, yeah.
again, it's not.
because this one's about him. No, that just
What I-
further exemplifies it.
I think you're correct, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's uncharacteristic of Master Chief. I think it's just enough.
No,
To
I
where
don't
it's
think
like this, it's like, oh, like imagine if he was like having like real conversation.
No, I agree.
It's like this
more.
is weird.
It's more noticed. It's just such a stark difference that it's just noticeable.
But, like-
whereas in the first ones, he literally said maybe 4 to 5 lines in the entire series.
Yeah.
6, 7 lines.
But what
like,
he's saying is very mission focused.
No,
he's on,
no,
he's
it
on
doesn't
track.
feel out
I'm
of-
not saying we're
yeah.
disagreeing.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I feel like your
Yeah,
inflection.
no,
it sounds
yeah.
like we're disagreeing, but we're agreeing.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I'm like, what he's saying. I'm like, he's just talking to Cortana. It's just
He's
him
being
and
him. No,
it's just
yeah.
those two.
Who
Like,
else would he be communicating to?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe he just feels like maybe he thinks he can be more open with Cortana. Maybe he talks more because it's just her.
Absolutely.
And again, we're looking. This dude. We never really find out who he is. It's just the fact that like let's put on what the table about the story we're gonna tell you.
I feel like we've talked about this before, but do you think we're seeing his face in Infinite?
It's hard to say.
I really don't know.
It's really
I really
hard to
don't
say.
know because like
Yeah.
I don't like I'm part of me is like they're totally gonna do that.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, the campaign should be called Halo 6. The multiplayer should be called Infinite.
I could get behind that.
Like that's because just I need that. I kind of want to see that 6. After we've been Halo 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to see that 6 on the title. Anyways.
Yeah. I love this cutscene, man. It's just
No, it's awesome.
really digging into Master Chief as a person. It's like,
Because
okay,
you're really not
is Master
asking
Chief
these
broken?
questions,
Are
yeah.
we like? They're also asking us.
No, yeah, exactly.
Like-
It's like why does he work?
Is Master Chief broken? Like, is this guy like a mess? And is that why he
kind of
works?
is like he's a toned down Doom soldier. In a lot of like in the way of like
He's not aggressive.
he's not aggressive. He's not like it's
mean,
not
he
like
is.
No, he is, but like
not
it's
verbally.
not even verbally, but not even just in the way he acts very strategically. He's very to the point, but not like overly brutal or anything. He is tactical, and it's just interesting to see. And I mean, yeah, we barely know anything. I mean, but we know his name.
So,
John,
do you think Master Chief is broken?
I don't know. I think
I just put you. I just put you.
No,
a
I
big
don't know.
question.
I guess like that's just. I guess it's up to the in the eye of the beholder.
I think he
Is he
thinks
broken
he
if he is doing what he was intended to do? No, I don't know. I don't.
But like again, we'll get to the
Again,
end
I
of
feel
this
like I
game
don't
where
know
Lasky
enough-
tells him, and he's like,
I feel like by the end of this game, you can kind of make a better decision. But like as of this point in the campaign, I couldn't tell you because I don't know anything about
maybe
him.
I'll ask you again at the
Yeah.
end.
I don't know much about John 117 except that he's a pretty big badass. And
Yeah,
he was
you're right.
injected with a ton of chemicals to make him and I will say when they're
giant
talking what
A giant badass. He's a giant
badass. And I do think when they were talking about that like imposing force of the Spartans, they definitely get that
For sure.
across.
For
like
sure.
with the way he walks up on the admiral, the
Yeah.
admiral's like, oh hey.
And now
like,
we're getting the real scale of Spartans.
no, it's true. Like this
you know?
feels like how it should like because you are taller in the old, like we said in the old ones, but not to, like they're kind of like on at Chief's nose. Now they're at his chest.
Yeah, now
Like,
he's
he is,
like
like-
looking down, and you know the new
does-
suit I think does something for that as
It does.
well.
It's a bit of bulk. He feels like a walking tank, but not like Hulk tank, like just soldier tank. I don't know how to describe.
just like not a big tank, but like a normal size.
a tactical tank.
Yeah, I'll we'll get to that at the end. Well, because that last cutscene does the same thing. It kind of Lasky kind of makes him think about things. But yeah, again, we're not getting that inner monologue. It is hard to answer. And even think at this point in the game, going through 5, it's like I don't know what Master Chief thinks about
I've
anything
absolutely
that's
no
going
idea.
on. You don't really know.
No idea.
It's really interesting.
You play
though,
as him
isn't it?
twice. I mean, sure, but like.
What main character have you been this long that you really don't know
but that's
what he's
because
thinking?
he was originally intended to just be kind of a blank slate,
Right,
too.
but I think
it's
that's even more interesting.
Well, now they can build on top of that and give they have ample minds to look for ore in, and I think they will figure it out.
So let's get to our first level, Dawn. Synopsis. After 4 years adrift in space, Cortana awakes Master Chief to investigate a disturbance on the forward unto dawn. 2557, 4 years after the Halo event. As a large part comes into closer view, the name Forward Unto Dawn becomes visible. An automated message is playing. Can you read this?
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is UNSC FFG 201 Forward Unto Dawn requesting immediate evac. Survivors aboard. Prioritization code Victor 05-3 Sierra 117.
The scene shifts through the ship, and several ship parts are seen floating around. We get to the core room, which starts shaking. Suddenly, a visible scan line that appears to move through the ship, scrambling some of the still active electronics, comes through. The scene continues to move as we get to the cryo room. A bright blue light is visible at the far end of the room. The light source is shown to be a sphere of blue light on an AI pedestal. As the ship shakes again, the sphere disappears and a blue light shines on the pedestal, replaced by a figure of Cortana sitting. Cortana gasps and looks around, stands up in front of her with the words UNSC visible on the top left. She starts moving things around. Cortana begins searching desperately and shaking her head and looking visibly scared. She reaches a status report with red circles outlining hull breaches. She then brings up the cryostasis control. One of the sections shows Master Chief's Mjolnir armor. Cortana presses the command to reactivate after some consideration. The status update with the words activate come up. She closes her eyes and turns to John's cryo tube. Wake up, Chief. I need you. Yelling Master Chief.
Ugh.
Chief, easy. You've been out for a while.
Where are we?
We're still adrift on the Dawn.
Why did you wake me?
Hang on. Bring your systems up now. I rewrote your suit's firmware while you were out.
You've been busy.
Activating ship's activating the ship's gravity generators. And all the shit that's floating around falls to the ground.
Partial systems restoration. Initialize systems. Diagnostic.
Chief, look up. You need to pull the release level. Or you need to pull the manual release, and that is pretty much our tutorial. Tutorials are gone.
No, that's very true.
The thing of the past. John looks up and pulls the cryotube's manual release lever. Cryotube opens, John steps out and walks over to the holotank that Cortana is occupying. Yeah, and I wrote short tutorial.
Yep.
Seems like old times.
Ready to get back to work.
I thought you'd never ask. John pulls Cortana out of the holotank, inserts him into a neural interface. John picks up his assault rifle and is ready for combat. What do you think of our new suit?
Looks good. Doesn't look... I mean, it looks big. Again, I feel like we kind of talked about it before. It looks big and imposing and pretty sweet. Pretty rad. Looks like Master Chief's armor, but with a little bit more pizzazz going on.
I really like this look. Mm-hmm. I kind of almost like... I'm like, our Infinite look is very much a going back to the Halo 3 look, but with like some modifications. But I don't know. I kind of... So this is still Mjolnir Mark 7.
Yeah.
Same suit, Generation 2.
Okay, so is the idea she like upgraded it while he was in cryosleep or something?
There's lore.
Yeah,
There's lore for it. I was like, yes, there is something. So, as of 2552, the UNSC developed nanotechnologies designed to perform repairs on Mjolnir armor while Spartan occupant rested in cryosleep. Given enough time in the hands of a capable, smart AI, these nanomachines are capable of completely overhauling a suit. And that is exactly what Cortana does to Chief's Sorry, I think I said 7. I said Mark 6 armor. So she like remakes it. I have 4 years. That's a lot of time. I buy it.
How does she have the nano? Like, where are the nanobots? Are on the ship?
Or on him in his suit.
Oh.
So she reforms it.
Definitely feels like, all right, well, we gotta write this fucking excuse for him to have new armor.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense.
No, and it's fine. That works. That's fine. It's a fucking sci-fi universe.
I think one of the first things I realized, like getting out, like the movement, it's so much faster.
Yeah, it is. It's much faster. I mean, even sprinting
from Halo,
has become just
not
normal.
Halo 3. Halo Reach to this, you're just so much faster.
I agree.
If you notice, as we move forward, you can kind of go down, and there's a terminal that recaps Halo
I hit
1
one
through
of them
3.
by accident, and I was like, what is happening here? And then I was like, oh, this is one of the terminals. I didn't realize like what I was looking at.
Yeah, so this one like isn't as like the normal ones. It like with like the different cutscenes.
Sure.
It just kind of is like September 13th, 2552. Master Chief and the UNSC pillar forward onto Dawn.
Oh, so it literally just recaps.
Right. It's very secondary. But I guess it's like, okay, like if you're a fucking noob and haven't played any Halo game, here's your update.
Honestly, burn your disc and get the fuck off that console.
Master Chief maneuvers down many hallways.
How long was I out?
4 years, 7 months, 10 days.
Someone should have found us by now.
John enters a circular room with a center console displaying a holographic replication of the Dawn's predicted drift course, showing the ship being pulled toward a red icon. Suddenly, a large orange wave of energy scans the ship. And then we move towards the observation deck via an elevator shaft. John manages to climb up the elevator after falling for some debris. After stepping into an opening in the next level at the top of the shaft, a Shang-Heili with an energy sword emerges from the smoke. John blocks the sword strike, punches it in the side of the head, and then grabs its jaw and throws it.
I thought we had a truce with the Covenant.
A lot can happen in 4 years. Either way, he's probably not alone. We should be careful. We continue the observation deck. We counter a new faction of Covenant with a new look and weapons. So this new Covenant faction is called, well, it's essentially Jul 'Mdama's Covenant. There really is no difference. It's like a leftover group of the Covenant that emerged in the wake of the Human Covenant War, with the downfall of the original Empire and the disappearance of the Sansuyum, founded by Supreme Commander Jul 'Mdama, who's not referenced in Halo 4 at all Spartan Ops story. So like that name never comes up. I'm not even gonna go over who he is. Doesn't really matter.
Interesting.
His faction considers itself to be a legitimate successor to the original Covenant, and thus the faction is known by its followers as simply the Covenant. Although the faction is generally recognized as an attempted Shang-Heili recreation of the original, its members are identified as terrorists by the UNSC, and the organization itself is regarded as close to a religious cult as opposed to a fully fledged empire like the Covenant. What do you think about their new redesign? They do look a lot different.
I will say I didn't really notice.
Okay.
Like I thought the grunts looked like they seemed pretty similar and like in as like I don't know, I don't know. I really didn't notice much.
I mean, they look similar, but like their armors, next time you kill one, look.
I will have to take it
like
real quick.
Compared to that Halo 3 Elite design, like that was like
it reminded me of more like. I guess it reminded me of Reaches somewhat in certain ways, but then I don't know. I'd have to really take a look at them. I will.
Okay.
I kind of shot them and moved on. If I'm honest.
So speaking of shooting them, one of the new episodes, one of the new weapons we'll get is the Storm Rifle.
The T-55 directed energy rifle, or the Storm Rifle, is an evolution of the standard plasma rifle, and served various infantry during the violent Shang-Heili civil conflicts that followed the Human Covenant War.
One thing I noticed, a lot of the guns that were added in these games, not as much lore and as information as
like
the original stuff.
Yeah.
There is a lot, like maybe this is from the Halo Bible.
Has to be.
Because dude, like for the assault rifle, like they would talk about the design,
like the
of
manufacturer,
the gun, all this information, and for this it's like. Yeah,
this is the weapon.
This Storm Rifle is the evolution of the Plasma Rifle. That's it. Like, that's all it's there.
But, I mean, again, I guess that makes it, like, because then you go to the Plasma Rifle to figure out, well, what was the Plasma Rifle then? You know, almost. So that kind of does make sense, but...
Cortana will chime in with good news. These Covenant aren't outfitted like standard military. It's possible we just came across a rogue salvage ship. Well, Cortana, you're wrong. The blast shield's open,
Classic.
and the Covenant fleet consisting of several CRS-class light cruisers are seen holding position in front of the Dawn. A mysterious planet can be seen in the background. A formation of Banshees fly close to the observation deck windows and flies away.
So the Covenant just dissipated after the Human Covenant War, and those alien species just went back to being their own things. So like the Shang-Heili are cool with, for the most part, with humans.
Yes.
And like brutes are fucked. But like
Brutes are fucked.
And brutes are fucked. And
until Halo.
I would be
Infinite.
racist to some brutes or to some brutes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has a grudge, it's the brutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it's a splinter
interesting.
faction. I think it's simple to say. It's like, hey, there's some Covenant members who
Because
still
you're right,
want
they
the
really
Covenant.
don't want, like, you get past this first level of some Covenant people, and then for the most part, like, then all of a sudden Cortana's like, well, they're working with the Forerunner. So then that's kind of it. Like, it's
Yeah,
just like,
no,
yeah, like,
really, I think there's just like
They were like, we're done with the Covenant.
We've had
Yeah.
like five games about the Covenant. I think they just
it's no
we
longer
don't
there.
need to go over this
No,
again.
I agree.
Which I agree.
I can appreciate.
I mean, they look different, but in all intents and purposes, they're the same.
Covenant, yeah.
You know, they're the good old Covenant we know and love. And then Cortana goes, "Oh, or we might have stumbled upon the entire Covenant fleet."
Maybe they haven't recognized us.
That's one possibility.
Didn't the ship's sensor say we still had weapon system online?
Yes, but since the ship is torn in half, we can't access the weapon stations. We'll have to fire them manually from the outer hall. So John enters the elevator, rides it down a few floors, and opens up to another hallway, fights some Covenant, and then eventually reaches a stairway. That Covenant cruiser's shields are down. Assuming they don't raise them, that missile's going to be a heck of a surprise.
These Covenants seem to be more fanatical than the ones we fought before.
Yeah, so John, I think, like, as we walk down, John says that.
That does feel like a bit of...
Right.
Expository, like, well, these don't seem like
They're not
they're not like the old
same
Covenant.
Yeah.
I did think that's
That's
funny.
exactly what I think that line is for. It's just to
Absolutely.
tell you that there's a difference between the guys you're fighting now, and then, like we just said, that's it. They never really. There's no exposition
Let's
on
continue.
on the
Yeah,
Covenant,
which is fine.
Yeah. Cortana says the auxiliary launch station should be on your left out the air docks, and then the reason I included this is for the first time we see Cortana go rampant, and in a distorted way she says, "You'll have to prime the launch ignition."
Cortana.
It's nothing. Just get to the launch station. So yeah, very slight sign. Cortana's rampant, and Chief obviously does not know that yet. The airlock doors open, revealing the Dawn has moved closer to the mysterious planet. I'm sorry. Did I miss it orbiting Forerunner planet at some point?
One thing at a time.
Master Chief, very chatty. Not much, but chatty.
No, because I feel like in Halo 1 through 3, I don't think he necessarily would have even said anything back.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, like I think he was
No.
No.
John makes his way over to the launch station, encountering some elites, some jackals, some grunts. You know
This
them.
is the
You love them.
same voice actor, right?
Yeah,
He played
no
Chief?
voice
yeah,
actor
no
changes.
change. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
that's what I thought. All right.
It's Jen Taylor, I think is the
He
name
does
of
have
Cortana.
such an interesting,
and
like-
John. Is it John? Steve Downs is Master Chief.
His Master Chief, the voice is really tough. I feel like it's almost like a bit of a flat. It's like I don't even know how to recreate.
I would
It's
agree.
interesting, yeah.
John eventually reaches the launch controls and activates them. Launch initiated. The silo door on the far side opens. Missiles rise, preparing to launch. One of the blast doors is jammed. Master Chief eventually goes over to it and forces the blast doors open. He pushes and then kicks the blast door to its proper position, and Cortana says, "You did it! Get back!" The missile launches, destroying the cruiser, which is charging its energy projector. The cruiser shatters into pieces, and the debris drifts over the Dawn. Suddenly, an orange light from the planet scans John. Chief!
The Covenant weren't the ones scanning us.
A circular opening on the planet begins to open, emitting a bright blue light. So now we can worry about that giant metal planet, right? Everything floating outside is pulled toward the planet. We've got to hurry. The second we cross the dome's event horizon, its atmosphere is going to tear us apart.
Where are the closest escape pods?
Aft vehicle bay. I'm tagging the closest airlock. Go. We head to the airlock. As John makes it to the vehicle bay, one of the doors is ripped out and the room is depressurized. Chief!
John tries to hold onto the door but can't. He manages to grab hold of a railing.
Hold on!
The railing eventually gets pulled out. John is pulled out of the ship and into the debris fields. Covenant ships are also being pulled into the planet.
We're caught in the gravity well.
Can you keep track of the escape pods?
Negative. Look out.
John continues to drift through the debris. One of the Dawn's debris, hits a cruiser and causes an explosion of a Covenant warship. John drifts through the hole in the cruiser. The explosion left. Suddenly, a piece of debris flies at John, and the screen cuts to black.
We got our title card. I thought the title card was a
No,
little
it's
awkward.
good. No, you thought it was awkward? I actually,
Yeah.
it felt,
I was like, I don't remember that.
I didn't remember it either, but I mean, I don't know. It didn't feel.
It didn't.
I feel like that was a lot of that. Like you see that a lot more in current day games now. The
Title
kind of
cards?
title reveal like that. Like I find like. I feel like Assassin's Creed would always do it.
always has done it.
They'd always have like you do the preamble, and then it would pan up, and you'd see the Assassin's Creed thing. But no, I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
Our next level, Requiem, the second campaign level of Halo 4. Having survived the destruction of the Dawn, Master Chief and Cortana search for a way off the mysterious Forerunner planet.
Open to the debris field of the Dawn.
I see what you did. Sorry.
No, yeah, my fault. I was confused.
Yeah.
Open to debris field of the Dawn and a fireball falling to Requiem. Cut to black and the debris and the fireball impact on the ground. Fades into the wreckage in the area. Scene pans through an assault rifle on the ground with John next to it. His hand stirs and tightens. There are numerous man-sized shards of debris covering John's chest. He shoves them off and looks around. He sits up and grabs his rifle. Where are we?
Checking coordinate impact data. In a rampant state, we have asked you to give up your family, your childhood, your future.
John shakes his head in confusion and pulls out a data crystal chip containing Cortana out of his helmet. Cortana's avatar appears. Cortana?
I'm sorry, it's the crash. I'm fine.
Something was wrong before we left the Dawn.
In a distorted way. Chief, really, I'm fine.
Cortana.
I was put into service 8 years ago.
8 years?
AIs deteriorate after 7, Chief.
Halsey.
Chief.
We need to find Halsey.
Chief, please.
She made you. She could fix you.
I won't recover from rampancy, Chief.
If we could just get back to Earth and find Halsey, she could fix this.
Don't make a girl a promise you can't keep.
Oh!
There's the line. Chief instantaneously.
It does feel like kind of a...
I need to save you.
I know. I do appreciate it. It does feel like a bit of an on-the-nose type of like, we're starting again. You know what I mean? Like it started. But
What do
it's
you
fine.
mean?
Like because that's what it was. That was at the beginning. That was like or is that the second one? At the end of the second one when Chief says that to the Cortana.
What do you mean?
Isn't this don't make a girl promise? Doesn't she say that in the other games before?
In 2, when he puts her
That's
in
what
the
I thought.
thing
Yeah,
and he says
yeah,
he's gonna
okay.
come back to her. I think it's great.
No, I think it works. Absolutely.
It says it, that line is
Yeah.
so iconic. I feel. And like Chief instantly having
Let's go.
the attachment, the relationship is like, no, we need to fix you. Like Halsey's alive. Like we'll go find her. We'll fix this.
It is funny how like a game like this will keep his helmet on the entire time, and a movie would never do that. Like,
I think
they
this is
rarely
like
ever
the
do-
second time you said that.
It's
So,
just,
yeah.
I know.
It is weird.
It's interesting. No, it's interesting because you literally just have to read into him, especially in this.
If Halo was made today, I don't think that would happen.
I don't think it would happen as much either. I think that was more of a product of the time where they're like, well, we don't want to have to animate his face.
look, like you have Doom guy who doesn't take off his helmet, but
No,
it's
that's true.
Doom guy's
But
a
like
different
that was a
character.
different precedent for sure. Yeah.
different character. I mean, again, based off an old game, so maybe not.
All right, the duo stops and looks up as they hear a Covenant aircraft fly over them. A Phantom escorted by 2 Banshees fly over them at high speed.
Cortana says, we need to move. In the ruins, we can find weapons, as well as a terminal and Covenant stragglers. There's really a lot of interactables in this area if you take the time to kind of look through. If the player finds a BattleNet access point aboard the Crass Lich dropship, which remains online, Cortana says the console's still got some power in it. And if you activate the terminal, she says the communication's being broadcast to all Covenant in the area. Let me put it through translation. And she says, non-believers walk the sacred ground, purge the heretics so they do not foul the air of paradise. The time has come to enter the great light. The Promethean awakening is nigh. A reward is at hand.
Sounds like the Covenant were looking for something.
It's the Covenant. Aren't they always looking for something? I actually like that.
That is
If
good.
the players proceed to walk up the cliff on the side, at the other side of the crevasse is a malfunctioning Covenant console that can be found on the second lich. And the terminal says, die dact. And Cortana says, what is that, Chief? Is that a terminal? Is it still active? You can go up and touch it. And Cortana says, the Covenant have been broadcasting that from an equidistant orbit every 30 minutes for the last 3 years.
They've been waiting outside this planet for 3 years.
Apparently, they couldn't get in. We find this isn't like an official terminal, but it's like a recording that's just like on loop. And it says, system, Catherine Halsey, research expert, excerpt 11 February 2550. And Dr. Halsey says, the interesting factor here isn't the H1 disabled the viral termination code I implanted in her matrix. These metrics imply its success wasn't just unlikely, but even the accepted 7-year life cycle estimated may not apply. Thus far, I've determined that the unique circumstances of her creation have triggered what I can only refer to as a recessive variant in the AI seed. As her architect, I'm currently at a loss to the origins of this rogue element. Very curious. So, Halsey is basically saying maybe Cortana applying to that 7-year life cycle for an AI doesn't apply to her.
Interesting.
We find also the saw in this area, which is like the fucking greatest.
Probably the
weapon
best gun introduced in this series.
Yeah,
And like this
it's
Reclaimer stuff. Yeah.
You want to read this?
Sure. Is this in Infinite? This all?
Good question.
I don't believe. Actually, I don't know. It might be. The M739 light machine gun, also known as the SAW, the squad automatic weapon, is used in heavy engagement where sustained or suppressive fire is required.
That's it. Like I said, short fucking weapon.
It's just a big old fucking heavy machine gun.
It's an LMG. It's a SAW.
Yeah.
You know, like we have our standard M249 SAW. That's
Yeah.
what SAW stands for, squad automatic weapon, which is interesting. We move forward to our first vista of Requiem as the song of the same name plays in the background. So yeah, we get to that. We see fucking, the Requiem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly, not that music, but exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is Requiem? It's also known as Shield 0001 and was a micro Dyson sphere in which the Didact was imprisoned by the librarian. Requiem was a massive Forerunner shield world that was used as a military and research facility. It consisted of a large metal outer shell with several large entrance apertures. Within this shell was another planetoid. This planetoid had a terraformed surface that was habitable. And eventually, we'll get in a Warthog, and we'll reach the Forerunner station and enter it after, we're killing Covenant, we're doing all sorts of shit. John enters another canyon with a citadel-like structure as its back wall. He faces various Covenant forces, and he reaches the top where he kills a cloaked Sangheili zealot. And Cortana says, that elite dropped his camo module. Let's have a look.
Oh, yeah. His camo module that we've seen in all the other games. Thanks, Cortana.
You fucking idiot.
I don't know. It would be funny if she was like, it would be a little bit more canon if she was like, Chief, he just dropped something. What is that? And then she goes like, oh, it's a
camo
module. We could probably retroactively fit this to yours. Like, come on.
And she does say, we'll run a patch with your suit's firmware. Who knows? It might come in handy.
Yeah.
Well, this is the intro to armor abilities. Not going to go in depth, just like I did with Reach. What the armor abilities are in this game are active camo, auto sentry, hard light shield, holographic decoy, jetpack, Promethean vision, regen field, and thruster pack. A lot of returns. And then I think there's like hard light shield's kind of new. It's not armor lock anymore.
Yeah,
Again,
that's like the Promethean shield, right? Basically, what they.
Yeah. What's your opinions on those? None.
I like Promethean vision. That
I
one
think
was a cool
everyone
one.
likes Promethean
but of
Vision.
course, because I feel like it's a bit
It was OP in the multiplayer.
I feel like it was OP, probably OP in the multiplayer. I mean, it's a nice little addition, I think, for the campaign. Jetpack's always fun. What's the thruster pack?
It's
Is it literally like a dodge? I forgot about that one. Huh. Yeah, auto sentry. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, I don't know. Fun stuff. It adds a bit of flavor, but I'm not using them enough to really notice.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like, don't care. I just don't care.
And it's funny because they
them.
did introduce them in Reach, which
Right.
is like, and I guess they were like, well, we like that, but it's funny. I think the way that they're treating it with like in Halo Infinite with the new equipment is a lot better.
Yeah,
I will say I like it a lot more. But
yeah, we got the grapple hook and the pushback thing.
yeah, like the repulsor, I think it's called. And I'm like, I guess it literally just...
Yeah, I think you're right. And then we have a shield.
Oh, yeah, overshield. And then
They're
active camo and
they're
stuff.
they're just bringing
And
it
I
back
do
to,
like the
to
way it's like-
equipment.
yeah.
The equipment system from 3, they're just kind of retooling.
It's funny, I
and
don't
making
even
it
really
better.
remember the equipment system from 3. I guess with like the bubble
pickups,
shields and...
yeah.
Yeah, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Read the in-betweens.
A door opens and John enters the elevator.
There's that phantom signal again.
Come in, UNSC.
Chief.
I heard something that time. John proceeds into a large room. Small pillars rise from the ground as oh my god, that was bad. I could not get out. John proceeds into a large room. Small pillars rise from the ground and a group of sentinels appear. Sentinels?
I wondered when they'd show up.
A small alcove can be found beneath the main path. A hovering sculpture lies inside, carved in the shape of a ubiquitous Forerunner symbol and covered with glyphs, which can be examined by the player. What does it say?
Guardianship for all living things lies with those whose evolution is most complete. The mantle of responsibility shelters all. Very interesting.
Maybe, but it won't get us home.
John is fixated.
No, he's like, let's get the
He
fuck
doesn't
out of
give
here.
a shit. You know, you think you're in a Forerunner like planet.
Well, he
Master
knows
Chief
Johnny
hasn't been awake for 4 fucking years, and he doesn't give a shit
but
about
he's got
any
his
of this.
But he's got his mission. That's the thing.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
exactly,
he doesn't care about any of this stuff.
As long because there's nothing to be. There's nothing really scary.
What'd you think? Because like usually your protagonist would be like, "Whoa, check all this out."
Yeah,
like,
sort of. But
that's
again,
not
like
his
that
reaction.
doesn't feel. But like again, that feels very in line with Master Chief to me.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
like so. I guess it doesn't. It's cool. I think it's very in character. I would say for him. John explores the room and approaches the cartographer and inserts Cortana's data crystal chip into it. He looks up at the hologram of Requiem appears as it appears over the cartographer.
It's a localized site cartographer. Okay. In service of the Forerunner Shield World designated Requiem.
Requiem? At least we know where we are now.
Let's see if it could tell us what the Covenant's so interested in.
Again, that's one of those lines where I'm like, we get it. You don't like. There's like we know, like this is the act of okay in service of the Forerunner Shield World designated Requiem. He's like, okay, just in case you didn't get that, we're on Requiem. Like I've seen that in movies before. Like it's like
Right.
it just doesn't
They
feel like
question it.
natural
Yeah.
dialogue. It's almost like I forget. There's something in like Aquaman where it was like it was so funny to me. Well, it was Amber Heard. She's like it's your half brother King Orm. You wouldn't say that. You say it's your brother. Like you're not going like you're not
like
explaining
too
the-
descriptive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Like he doesn't have the context.
To like realize who exactly.
Right.
The hologram flickers into a red icon momentarily and disappears.
Yeah. So that's the didact symbol comes up.
We activate the 2 nodes and reach the cartographer once again. While doing this, we'll reach static messages. While doing this, we'll reach static messages from the UNSC Infinity.
Infinity static. 833 static.
Is that the same signal?
Yes. Mayday, mayday, mayday. UNSC AI Cortana to Infinity. Please respond. No response. But judging from the strength of that signal, Infinity has to be close by. The cartographer should be back online. We may be able to use it to track the ship's location.
Cortana's avatar now appears over the console. A holographic control panel appears in front of her. She presses it, but it responds with an error sound and starts flickering red. The hologram of Requiem flickers red as well. Cortana tries again and again and finally succeeds. Numerous red circles appear on the surface of Requiem's hologram.
The cartographer keeps acting like a transmission is coming from everywhere on the planet at once. It doesn't want to triangulate Infinity's signal.
Requiem's hologram flickers red once again, and all of the red circles disappear. Instead, a red sphere appears at the center of the hologram.
Oh, wait. I got it.
That can't be right. Scan again.
We've already passed through one layer of the planet's surface. It's not crazy to think someone else made it deeper inside than we did.
You mean this planet is hollow?
Let me see if I can figure a way out to reach these coordinates that doesn't involve us digging a really big hole.
A map appears.
There's a terminus at the far side of the complex. We can portal to the planet's core from there.
So you know what's so funny about this? I was
What?
like, man, this is reminding me of Doom, like the newest one.
Really?
A lot. And I was like, oh no, Doom reminded me of that. Like the way you go through the portals and like just the way, like those certain setups, I was like, feels like they might have taken a bit of
Doom might have
inspo for some, but again, it's like it's just the fact that you're this guy in a big green armor suit and you're going through these portals that are kind of similarly set up. I don't know. It just was interesting.
Okay.
But Cortana looks at John. No, in my head. Yeah. Cortana looks at John and looks back at the cartographer. What?
I don't know.
If we have a shot of getting you back to the Infinity, we are taking it. Cortana looks at him and nods anxiously.
Okay.
John retrieves Cortana's data chip, turns away from the cartographer, and the cartographer emits an error sound. Again, while the hologram of Requiem flickers to a red icon. John is inside a small room with a door at the back and four hard light shields on a raised platform at the center.
Let's get to that terminus and find Infinity.
What do you know about Infinity?
Not much, but she was supposed to be a massive ship, but the project was only in prototype when we left.
Sometime later, as we progress toward the terminus, fighting the Covenant. Any observations? Not really, for me, to be honest.
Yeah, so my observations was the hunters have a lot more weight.
They do.
Once you fight them, they're fucking like the way they
Well, and
they
I think
slam.
they have a lot more reach, even with their slams and such. Like they're a lot harder to dodge.
I think their movement just feels more natural. Like
It feels more weighty for sure,
like,
and it like
Yeah.
you feel the inertia.
Yeah,
agree.
the inertia, big word. We come across our first terminal. This terminal opens with a Forerunner ship scanning and destroying a human ship contaminated by the flood. Cut to the inside in the Ecumen Council chambers where the Didact, Librarian, and the Master Builder are. They are in disagreement on what to do with their enemies and if any should be and if they should abandon their philosophy. They eventually come to an agreement as the camera fades to the Didact and Librarian standing on the ledge overlooking a city. They exchange some words and the Didact soon leaves for Requiem. They embrace as the terminal ends. So, Forerunner, Flood War. The humans are attacking the Forerunners because they're running from the flood.
They're just trying to get away. Yeah.
And they don't know that, which I don't really understand. Why don't you just tell them?
Yeah.
But I think the Forerunners and the humans are like not okay with each other.
Not buddy at that point. Yeah.
Right. So
This was the one I saw. This
Yeah.
was the terminal I saw
Yeah.
like by accident. Yeah.
Yeah.
The elevator reaches the top, and John leaves the platform and walks across a long bridge. He looks around. There are countless pillars in the room. John reaches the end of the bridge and inserts Cortana's data chip into the terminus console. It activates, and the Forerunner structure around them adjusts itself.
According to the Cathedral, this terminus is just one node of a larger transit grid that spans the entire planet.
Cortana pauses. What?
When I tried to access the outlet closest to Infinity's transmission, the system responded with this.
A holographic display of the Forerunner symbol for Reclaimer appears in front of Cortana's avatar. What is it?
John has a lot of questions today.
That's what I'm like. It feels
questions.
like there's stuff where I do think he would still be silent, like where she would just. But I don't think they want her just expound, just
talking to herself,
just burping exposition up. Yeah.
That's the kicker. It's the Forerunner symbol for Reclaimer.
Humanity? That's got to be Infinity. Could you get us those coordinates?
Let me try and open a portal.
Cortana accesses the holographic control panel in front of her. A large sound of activation is heard. John turns around and sees the pillars of the room raising to different heights. Cortana?
I'm picking up an unknown energy signature.
Where?
This can't be right.
Several large Forerunner humanoid figures lit in blue, with the exception of their orange lit right arm, teleport to the top of the pillars. They emit a growling sound, and John raises his assault rifle. Set a waypoint out of the tower now. Cortana remains silent, but she continues to access the control panel. Cortana. A portal appears beside John. Cortana turns around in confusion.
Quick, into the portal.
John takes Cortana's data crystal chip as one of the creatures standing in front of the pillars closest to him screams. John raises his assault rifle at the creature, which teleports away. John stares in awe.
Chief, go!
Chief runs and jumps into the portal, and the cuts to black. The level is over.
And that is our first 3 levels of Halo 4.
Gooch, thanks so much for doing this with me again. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, buddy. I know
sad we can't have Chris. He unfortunately will not be on the next one as well. But
because we're about to coordinate right now.
Exactly. A little peek behind the curtain. Thank you all so much, Gino. Thank you for watching. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We have a Facebook page. Just search Delco Nerd Network as well. We have a bunch of social media pages. We are at Delco Nerds there. We have a website. We have a Discord. Our website is delconerdnetwork.com. You can find our email there where you can send us some comments, questions, or concerns. We would be happy to hear from you. And we have a Discord channel. I did mention that. But besides that, for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.